Welcome back to ringside, and time for our first fight. It's for the British Bantamweight title, and it's between Drew Docherty, the champion, and Donnie Hood. Docherty, 27 years old, and with just 9 fights under his belt, 8 wins and a draw. Similar record, if you remember, to that of Johnny Armour, the Commonwealth champion. Hood is a lot more experienced, 30 fights to date with 23 wins, 6 losses and a draw. Docherty will be favourite, but with a man as experienced as Hood, nothing is a formality. Your commentator for this one, Ian Dark.
At the weigh-in today, Docherty scaled 8 stone, 5 pounds, 4 ounces. Hood scaled 8 stone, 6 pounds. Docherty blue corner, Hood red corner.
And Donnie Hood arrived at the weigh-in 53 minutes late and came in bang on the button, 8 stone, 6 pounds. Whether he had any weight problems, I don't know, but that could be a factor in this fight. Hood challenging here for Drew Docherty's British Bantamweight crown at 8 stone, 6 pounds. Hood is the one with the ponytail and the white shorts. Docherty was a really good amateur star, and he's unbeaten so far as a professional. The only blot on his record, a draw against Rocky Lawler. This only his 10th fight. It's Hood's 31st. Good sharp jab there from Docherty, who's improved quite a bit since he started in the professional ranks. He looked a little bit uninspired and lacking in spark to start off with, but he's come on a ton since then and won this title with a 5th round stoppage of Joe Kelly last June. Been out for 7 months since then. He did have a damaged knuckle in that fight. Docherty certainly starting as the favourite here, even though he is more inexperienced. Scoring well with that left jab in this first round already, Docherty. Docherty is certainly the fighter on the way up. Hood with a little bit of work to do to just resurrect his career a little. He lost his WBC International Championship when he was beaten for the European title in Denmark by Johnny Breedel. He was stopped in 7 rounds last year. Well, the most eye-catching punch in this first round has certainly been that stiff jab of Drew Docherty's. Covering up quite well as well. Hood looked a bit ordinary in his last fight against Peter Buckley. Did win it, though. Well, there's been plenty of action in this opening round. No question of the two fighters just feeling each other out. They've both been pretty busy. But the crisper work, for my money, has been done by Docherty. Better from Hood, good pressure from him. Docherty putting together those clusters to the head pretty well.
Seconds out, round 2.
Second round. Just a reminder of the colours here. Drew Docherty in the black shorts with the white stripe down the side, the champion. Managed by Tommy Gilmore is Docherty, who says that this fellow is a very, very dedicated trainer, works hard. He's not the kind of fighter who likes to party and go out to nightclubs. He lives the life of the professional fighter, and that is all to the good. Good left hook from both of them there simultaneously. But there's a confident look about Drew Docherty. The official in there, very experienced one, is Dave Paris. Good combination punching to the head from Docherty. He comes from a little place just east of Glasgow called Condorat. Hood is billed as from Glasgow itself, so it's a local derby in every way, this. And it's creating quite a few headlines in Scotland. Again, that's very good work from Docherty. He really was a top-class amateur. He won 5 Scottish championships, boxed in 3 European championships, the Commonwealth Games, and got to a couple of ABA finals as well, beaten on both occasions by John Lyon, that extraordinarily good amateur. Hood looks more tentative by comparison. Better punch economy about Docherty's work. Docherty, who's 27, Hood 29. The plan for Docherty, if he can come through this one, is to possibly pitch him in for the European title pretty soon. That's vacant at the moment. That's a great right over the top from Docherty, and left hook as well, and Hood just looking a little bemused as the round came to its end there. That really was an excellent round for the 27-year-old champion Drew Docherty. And on my card, I've given him both rounds so far. He's been a professional since 1989, Docherty. This is Donnie Hood, who's a quiet chap out of the ring, who enjoys lonely hill walking and camping up in the Highlands. He likes to be alone with his thoughts, but he's had a bit of success in the ring. WBC International Champion, that's for fighters ranked between numbers 11 and 30 in the world, but he's lost that title now. There's his full record: 23 wins, a draw, and 6 defeats. But the defeats have usually been against pretty good class opposition, like European champion Ayub Khan, Ray Minus Jr. for the Commonwealth title, and Johnny Breedle for the European crown. Third round here. Hood is the one in the white shorts, the challenger. The British Bantamweight Championship on the line. Docherty, I would think, is pretty sure of decent promotion on his way up the ladder, because the Scottish fight scene is buzzing just at the moment. But he's got to get rid of Hood first of all, and Hood will certainly have ideas here about causing a bit of an upset and stopping the younger man. Still good, crisp work from Drew Docherty. Just looking a bit reddened around the face already, Hood. His challenger comes from a real boxing family. His granddad was a pro, so was his dad. His dad was a fighter anyway, an amateur. And they were both also called Donnie Hood, so this is Donnie Hood III, if you like. He's just being outboxed a bit at the moment, though, Hood. Looking to pressure the more inexperienced Docherty, shake him up a bit. Docherty just concentrating on his boxing skills behind that jab, mixing it up quite well. And again, really good combination punching from him. Doesn't waste many either, does he? Hood gets through with one to the head there. Well, Hood is shipping quite a few punches to the head. He's not slipping many of these. And Docherty, just about every time he throws, he scores. Quite often Hood seeming to hit the champion's arms and being made to miss far more. But he's game, he's courageous. He's been over this distance before. And he's going to make Docherty work for it, you feel.
Pull him out, let him go.
Hood quite busy inside and getting through with that right hand. And a warning for Donnie Hood there from referee Dave Paris for punching after the referee had called break. Hood goes back to his corner. Charlie Kerr and Willie Connolly in there. Kerr's been his trainer since he was an amateur. Hood boxed for Scotland against England, Wales and twice against Ireland, but he says himself as an amateur he didn't really take the business seriously enough. Docherty has had 3 good rounds so far. The grease around the face is purely precautionary. Some of his work in that round. And that right hand was a good one. If the referee will just let us have a look at it, which he does. Here's another view. Right hand and then left hook. Smart boxing.
Second out, round 4.
4th round here then. Drew Docherty in defence of his British bantamweight crown in the black shorts. Hood has some work to do, because the champion has just seemed to open up a gap in those first 3 rounds. What can he do to turn the tide?
Right!
I say Docherty looks pretty polished for a man in only his 10th professional fight, but then he does have a whole wealth of amateur experience behind him, and that obviously stands him in pretty good stead. Hood just getting his gloves up a wee bit more in this round and blocking some of those intended punches towards the head. Once more a precautionary word for Hood. Not the first time he's been spoken to. Jim Watt and Ken Buchanan, who featured in that first big boxing show here all those years ago, are at ringside watching. Good body shots from Hood. That's better work from him. His big problem is to get past that raking jab that Docherty keeps throwing out. And there's good evasive defensive skills there from the champion too. Just making Hood miss, turning him a little. Bustle and pressure from Hood. Just trying to shake this skillful champion out of his stride a little. His problem is he's being caught on the way in quite a bit. Docherty doesn't look a concussive puncher. He is probably the sort who's usually going to have to do it by the longer distance routes. But he has the skills to prevail over those longer distances by the look of it.
Seconds out. Round 5.
Fifth round. Docherty, the champion, in the black shorts. Donnie Hood, the 29-year-old challenger. He's won a couple of eliminators in the past against Graham O'Malley and against Keith Wallace back in 1990. Remember Keith Wallace, who had that massive build-up by Frank Warren in his earlier career back in the early 80s. After that, he rather lost his way, sadly. Hood is a good old pro, though. Cagey, battle-hardened. Has that look about him of a man who's been in there before, seen most of it before, and knows that there's still a fair way to go and a lot can still happen in this fight, even though earlier on Docherty's shown a lot of classy skills and quality. Hood won some tough fights for that WBC International crown he held against Samuel Duran, Virgilio Opinio and Rocky Comey. First two on split decisions. Oh, he gets through there despite the moving target that Docherty is presenting. Docherty covering up well. Hood trying to score inside with the right uppercut, you'll notice. This is the fifth round. It's due to go 12 for this British title. Nice doubling up on the jab by Docherty. Oh, and the right hand and left hook as well. And then Docherty back on the ropes and covering up. He was in there and away. That was really smart skill. Looks a good little operator, doesn't he? One of 26 fighters that Tommy Gilmore has, including world champion Pat Clinton at flyweight. Again, 1, 2, 3 punches, rat, tat, tat into the head, 4, 5 of Hood. He's finding this a tough task.
Seconds out. Round 6.
Sixth round here. Drew Docherty, the champion, definitely on top so far. And looking the business, as they say. Oh, look at that from Docherty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flashy punches maybe, with not a lot of oomph behind them. But scoring punches nonetheless. Look at that. And Hood, though, just coming back and reminding Docherty that he can't afford to get careless or arrogant. That just might be a little bit of a danger for Docherty here, that he starts to just get a wee bit too showy. He knows he's a couple of grades ahead of Hood in sheer boxing sweet science, if you like. But that might not be the end of the argument. There are other factors. That's good work from Hood there, switching his jab from head to body. Hood, who's a butcher by trade, and Drew Docherty, who used to be a welder's labourer. But boxing comes first, of course, with both of them these days. Like Docherty, Hood has the reputation of being very dedicated. He's teetotal and an extremely good trainer. So two highly conditioned athletes in there. Hood just walking onto that right a little bit and being picked off by the jab once again. Good jab from Hood. Hasn't always managed to land cleanly with that, and beginning to block some of Docherty's punches himself. Slightly better round for the challenger this, and the left hook from him too. Caught by the right cross right at the end of the round. Donnie Hood in his professional career so far has never lost to a fellow Scot. But this man, Drew Docherty, may be the one to break that mould. Of course, if Docherty could win this one, he would need only one more British title win to become a holder of the Lonsdale belt. Some of his flashy work there in that round. Good to see skill like that. Picking the punches well, presenting the mobile target, wrapping out the jab a couple of times. 7th round. I have Docherty in a pretty wide lead at the halfway point. Hood has worked hard, bustled hard, pressured hard, but he just hasn't been able to shake the composure of this champion so far. Mind you, I've seen fights before where one fellow seemed to be in total command at the halfway point and then them turn around extremely dramatically in the second half of the fight. The first bout between Jeff Harding and Dennis Andrews comes to mind there. I'd have given you about 50 to 1 against Harding at the halfway point, but he won it. Both landing with those simultaneous punches to the head there. It's better work from Hood. A couple of jabs in that right hand. Hood working quite well in this 7th round. One of his best spells of the fight. He's landing with a lot more regularity. He's keeping up his work rate, and those are fair tactics from him in the hope maybe that he can just start to wear Docherty down and just find a way through that silky veneer that the champion has. Watch the head, says referee Dave Paris. Good left hook in there from Docherty. Oh, that's not a bad punch either from Hood, is it? Good round this. Docherty's picked it up after not doing too much in the first minute.
Second round, round 8.
8th round then. Donnie Hood, the ponytailed challenger in the white trunks, looking to make up the deficit. That's how I have it on my scorecard anyway, though it'll be referee Dave Parris's scorecard that the fighters are really interested in. But I would be a bit surprised if he didn't have Docherty in a handy lead at this stage. I did, though, give Hood that last round. I thought he just did that bit more work over the 3 minutes. Docherty is at number 2 in the European rankings already, and he's ranked number 9 by the WBO. Because one of the things that these top amateur stars sometimes find a bit difficult in the early stages of their professional career is stepping up in distance like this and getting involved in long, tough, grueling fights over, 4 times the amateur distance of 3 rounds. Sometimes ask questions of their stamina and resilience that they haven't been asked before. And remember, when Docherty won the title, he was only asked to go 5 against Kelly. Mind you, that was because he stopped him in 5, so you can't really have any rap against him for that. That was a good performance. With right coming back there from Hood to show that he can still be dangerous in the fight, but still the extra work rate from Docherty. Hood just rocked back on his shoulders there. Oh, left hook there. That was a good shot. It stopped Docherty in his tracks a bit from Hood. Interesting round.
Just 10 seconds. Seconds out. Round 9.
9th round here of a fight where the plot is just beginning to thicken a little bit, because Hood, who's taken a lot of punches and been outskilled by Docherty over the first half of the fight, has stayed in there. He's taken those punches and he's still coming on, and he's still throwing plenty of leather, and he's making Docherty work for this, and he's scoring, it seems, with greater regularity. And this is a phase of the fight where the younger man, in only his 10th fight, really has to keep his concentration going and his work rate, keep his nose in front in the fight. Bit more of a token look about Docherty's jab at this stage. Not wrapping it out and ramming it into the head as he was in the earlier rounds. That's better from him. That's more like it was before. But coming on with the left hook. Ooh, again, the left hook from Donnie Hood. The rounds have a far more even look about them now.
Right.
Now, the pre-fight script here was that Docherty was the prospect who'd already got a British championship and was on the way to greater things, and Hood might have just been on the down slope. But Hood has shown here that he's not shot yet. Far from it. With his fighter's pride and heart, he's just beginning to claw him back into this. Real good, courageous, resilient stuff from Donnie Hood. Not such a swagger about Docherty now.
Seconds out, round 10.
Tenth round, 3 to go. Good fight this for the British Bantamweight Championship. Proving to be excellent value. And Hood looking to build on the little initiative he's created for himself in the last 2 or 3 rounds. Hood just beginning to walk through that jab a little to try and get in closer and get in his own shots. One, two, 3 punches from Hood into the head of Docherty. There's a meatier look about Hood shots as well at this stage. Wouldn't say Docherty's run out of gas, but he certainly doesn't look as sharp as he did in the first phase of the fight. Oh, left hook, Hood. And back comes Docherty with his own. Both of them landing with really meaty headshots there. As well, perhaps, that neither of these have the reputation as sledgehammer punches, because there's been some very, very good shots landed, but neither boxer has looked remotely like hitting the canvas in this contest so far. Hood continuing to work very, very hard indeed. And if Drew Docherty thought he was going to take Hood apart with his boxing skills, as he might well have done in the first 5 rounds, and blow the challenge away, he certainly had to think again. That's nice from Docherty, doubling up on the jab. That's more like the skills he was showing earlier on. Then just slipping Hood's jab as well. Now he's starting to get his boxing back together again in that last quarter of a minute of the round. So we're at the stage of the fight now where both of these two fighters will be having to dig pretty deep. This is where all that running at 6 a.m. in the morning over a few miles, and the endless sparring in the gym and the exercises all come in handy, the conditioning. I remember Terry Marsh telling me he used to do about 1,000 sit-ups a day. It's an incredible regime that professional boxers set themselves. But this is where you need it, late in tough, hard fights. Some action from that 10th round.
10 seconds. Seconds out. Right, give over.
There are 6 minutes to go here. I still have Drew Docherty ahead, but the gap has certainly closed from about the 6th round on. Be fascinating, wouldn't it, to just have a little sneak preview of Dave Parris's scorecard. I think they did that once in a fight in the States. They had a kind of running score on the electronic scoreboard, so the fighters knew what was happening as it went on. I'm not in favour of that. Maybe you've got your views and you'll drop a line to Gary Norman. Docherty just on his toes a bit more at the start of this round and looking that wee bit fresher. Well, if Docherty does come through this and defends his British title successfully, it's going to be very good experience for him, this, going the full 12-round distance with a fighter who's made him work all the way, which is not to suggest that the result is any kind of formality here. It's not, as Hood just showed there with that left hook that he got through. Docherty is boxing better again now. Looks to have tightened up his defence again. He's slipping more punches, getting the gloves up better, and starting to come back with those combinations again. Hood is a bit of a handful, though, isn't he? He just doesn't stop. He's relentless. Boxing in the blood of both of these two fighters. As I was telling you, Hood's grandfather and father were both boxers, and Docherty's brother, Wilson, is a featherweight, unbeaten so far in a couple. That's 11 rounds gone and 1 to go. And Donnie Hood has worked tirelessly to try and get himself back in with a real shout here. Going into this final round, on my scorecard, I still have Docherty in charge. Caught with the left hook of Hood there, though. Certainly not been very much in some of the rounds from about the 6th on. In fact, Hood will have definitely taken some of them, but I think Docherty took nearly everything up to round 6.
Well, 10 seconds. Seconds out. 12.
So we're all set here then for the last round. The British Bantamweight Championship. And this good contest reaching its climax at the St Andrews Sporting Club in Glasgow. Docherty, the champion, in the black shorts, being watched by famous fighters like Jim Watt and Ken Buchanan. And I'm sure his corner will have sent him out with the instructions to keep boxing. Wow, that's a really good shot from him too. And cement this decision. Hood, I would think, needs to do something pretty spectacular. Going into this round, I had it 6 rounds to 3 with 2 even in favour of Docherty. The seconds ebbing away here. Good left hook from Docherty. He's just started to pick it up again in these last couple of rounds, getting on his toes and boxing pretty well now. But I think just lost his balance more than anything there. Now he's sticking out that jab, and this is the first 2 or 3 rounds revisited as far as Drew Docherty's concerned. Went through an indifferent patch in the fight, I thought, the champion, but seems to have re-established himself now. Hood's definitely had his successes, but maybe not enough of them. It does begin to look here as though his first attempt to become a British Bantamweight champion might end in failure. Oh, good left hook again from Hood, though. He's in there pitching right to the last. Hood now, and he deserves to, almost, just looking a wee bit tired and being worked over by those combination shots, a couple of jabs as well from Docherty, who's come on strong again in this last round. Applause beginning to ring around the arena. And the gum shield of Donnie Hood came out in the middle of all that. They have to just rinse it off, put it back in. It's a safety regulation that's been brought in. Last few seconds of the contest now. Hood probably will have welcomed the respite. We'll soon know for sure what has happened here. We'll get an instant decision when the referee lifts one fighter's hand or the other. I reckon it's got to be Docherty, hasn't it? And Dave Parris is certainly taking his time about it. And yes, indeed, Drew Docherty has successfully defended his British Bantamweight Championship. And for the most part there, he gave a really nice performance. Peter Harrison gives him the hug. Doncie Jousted in the corner as well. And Donnie Hood, a brave effort, but not quite enough from him. Be interesting to see the scoring.
After 12 rounds of boxing, the referee scores the contest. Docherty 108.5 points. Hood 106.5 points. The winner and still British Bantamweight champion, Drew Docherty from Docherty.
Just to interpret that, 7 rounds to 3 with 2 even was how the referee saw it. And Drew Docherty, an emphatic winner. He's still the British Bantamweight champion. They eye the European title as well. And of course, one more success will give him a Lonsdale bout outright. And he looks a pretty smart prospect. Drew Docherty, the title holder in Glasgow.
Good first defence there for Docherty, and I wonder how much further he'll go the more experienced he gets. Hats off to Hood too for trying from start to finish and making it such a good fight. We move down a division after the break, but up to world class. Next up is Robert Quiroga's 6th defence of his IBF Junior Bantamweight title. He faces the tough, no-nonsense Julio Balboa from Mexico. That proved to be a classic. That's next after the break.